On August 15th, at the Jingyu Lafon branch of Jasmine Milk White, disaster struck. A newly renovated ceiling collapsed on 2 employees, and tragically, a 17-year-old boy lost his life. What makes it even more shocking is that it happened on the very first day the shop reopened. What happened here is not unusual. In China, ceilings and walls collapse so often it feels like a curse hanging over people's heads. But this isn't fate, it's negligence. A plague of shoddy, tofu-dreg construction. Just to see how often Chinese ceilings and fixtures come crashing down out of the blue. At noon on August 17th, a glass window from a vacant store on Nanjing West Road in Shanghai suddenly collapsed. One female passerby lost her life right at the collision, and another had their foot badly injured. And then, on August 20th, another story surfaced.
I had just read about the Shanghai milk tea shop ceiling falling and killing someone a few days ago. And then I experienced something similar myself. Out of nowhere, the overhead advertising panel came crashing down. Our team had been sitting and resting there. My goodness, the banner only struck us lightly, and we managed to dodge in time. We escaped with just minor scratches.
Such dangers don't just lurk in public spaces, they follow people home. Many Chinese families have experienced their own skyfall right inside their bedrooms and living rooms. What makes it worse is that the age of the building isn't even a factor. These collapses can strike in decades-old apartments just as easily as in homes freshly renovated only weeks ago. This vlogger says,
Think your home ceiling is perfectly safe? Think your renovation company really has your best interest in mind? Here's a real incident that just happened. A blogger known as Super Tofu's home thought they just had a broken door lock. But when they pried the door open, they got the shock of their life. The entire ceiling had collapsed. Look closely. The whole ceiling was built using only a wooden frame. And this wasn't just a small area. Their home had suspended ceilings throughout. A wooden frame alone simply can't support that kind of weight. Later, they found out through comments that the renovation company had secretly used an all-wood structure without ever telling them. Luckily, the family wasn't home when it happened. But just imagine if they were. Terrifying, right? That's why, if you're renovating, do your homework and make sure you know what's being put into your home.
in this case, the bedroom ceiling collapsed at night, precisely when someone would normally be sleeping beneath it. By sheer luck, the resident was working late, so the consequences weren't fatal. And yet, this apartment had just undergone renovations not long before the accident. Or take the case of this man, whose home should have been perfectly safe, until a careless renovation upstairs sent chaos crashing down on him. Video 16. Across China, ceilings and windows don't always come down because of earthquakes or strong winds. Often, the cause is far more avoidable: shoddy construction. Take the case of the freshly reopened milk tea shop in Shanghai. Online, most commenters' verdict that the ceiling seemed to be held up with gun nails. Fast and cheap, but dangerously weak for holding such weight.
Yet another case of using a nail gun to install a ceiling. Next time you see someone using a nail gun for ceiling work, be on high alert. This can literally be fatal. I've been in this industry for over 20 years and have never used a nail gun for ceiling installations. Even if a client requests it, I'd rather walk away from the job than agree to such a dangerous method. I guess the ceiling was installed with gun nails. I've met a few workers who used gun nails before. I disapproved and stuck to expansion screws.
Now, the real debate isn't just about what fell, but about who's at fault. At first glance, it's easy to blame the contractors. Yet many argue the milk tea shop has its share of responsibility. Here's how the arguments unfold.
How could such a serious accident happen? Was it because the brand expanded too quickly and neglected construction quality? Some say no. This particular chain, Jasmine Milk White, opened 1,590 stores nationwide in just 4 years. The company enforces a standardized renovation process, with each shop's design and construction handled by headquarters. Typically, the renovation time is only about 1 month. In theory, having headquarters directly oversee design and construction should guarantee quality. But realistically, with more than 1,000 stores opened in only 4 years, headquarters must have outsourced much of the work to outside contractors. That raises the question, how strict was their supervision? The contractors likely had no say, since headquarters controlled everything. Unfortunately, lapses in construction appeared to have led to this tragedy.
Others point to the relentless deadlines imposed by clients as another major culprit. In order to meet grand opening schedules, workers are often pushed to extremes. One worker recalled witnessing a store inside a shopping mall being fully renovated in just 5 days. A type of rush job they dread the most, with quality sacrificed for speed. And the result, as they put it, barely better than tofu-dreg's construction. Another commented,
Typically, the milk tea shop brand takes a 30% cut and then subcontracts to a 3-no renovation company.
in this case, there are no means, no qualifications, no reputation, and no reliability. But not everyone blames the clients. In fact, some argue that the milk tea shop itself isn't at fault at all. Instead, the real issue lies in how costs trickle down the chain. One commenter broke it down like this.
Let me explain, though I can't promise it's 100% accurate. The milk tea shop owner? They're just a franchisee. Say they pay the chain 3,000 yuan per square meter for renovations. The chain then outsources it to a contractor for 1,500. That contractor hands it to a foreman for 1,000. And finally, the foreman gives the job to workers for 500. By the end, the shop owner, who thought they were paying for quality, is actually the biggest victim. And everyone who skimmed profit along the way should be held accountable and share responsibility for compensation.
As chilling as it gets, one self-claimed industry insider revealed that materials costing only 8 yuan are often marked up to 50 yuan when billed to the client. On site, everyone knows the quality doesn't match the price, but no one dares to admit it openly. As they put it,
We all know it in our hearts, but can't say it. When the owner asks, we tell them it's good material, but how can something that costs 8 yuan deliver the effect of 50?
others go further, pointing out that the mall itself can't simply wash its hands of responsibility. Renovations there require blueprints, stage-by-stage inspections, and final approval before a shop can even open its doors. So if heavy cement and bricks were falling from a ceiling that shouldn't have been built that way in the first place, then clearly the mall's own oversight failed. Apparently it all comes down to one thing. Everyone wants to pocket the biggest profit. Money keeps getting pulled out at every step. But as life has it, you can't take without losing somewhere. In the end, it's always the renovation work that suffers. And when that happens, it's ordinary people who are left to face the worst consequences of shoddy construction.
Man, you won't know how bad it is until you actually see it, and then it's just shocking. We've all seen shoddy tofu-dreg projects before, but compared to this, those were like small huts built as palaces. The floor slab is so thin it's a joke. Forget about people living here. Even ghosts would fall straight through. It's like the developers never even touched real money. They're cutting corners everywhere. Honestly, guys, what's the difference between this and scrap cloth? The level of greed here is just disgusting.
Unfortunately, it seems China's plague of final destination from above may persist for a long time to come. A 2022 report from Central News Asia points out that the root causes aren't quick fixes. They boil down to weak industry regulation and low entry barriers that allow unqualified firms to flood the market. As Mr. Michael Owen, Assistant Secretary of the Singapore Renovation Contractors and Material Suppliers Association, explained, this industry has no central authority, no standardized training, and no real service guarantees. The result, he said, is an environment where scams, shortcuts, and shoddy workmanship thrive. And even when lives are lost, many Chinese netizens point out that justice is far from guaranteed. One common observation is that lawsuits simply get passed down the line until everyone loses their attention on the case. Such as the comment here that reads,
This lawsuit is going to go on forever. The victim's family sues the shop owner. The owner sues the renovation company. The renovator sues the material supplier. And round it goes.
Already, across several posts about the incident at the milk tea shop in Shanghai, many noticed that comments were being deleted and traffic suppressed. For most Chinese people dealing with shoddy renovation work, what they usually encounter is the complete disappearance of the contracting companies. And even if these companies become recognized by name, they will likely just rebrand and continue their business under a new identity. On August 8th, One restaurant owner shared that 2 tables at their place couldn't be used, even during peak hours, because the ceiling above them had already started crumbling. When someone suggested filing a complaint, they replied,
It's useless. I call every day, and they always say they'll come to fix it, but no one ever shows up. I'm so angry I just stopped checking my phone.
To this, another simply responded.
It's better to just fix it yourself as soon as possible.
In the case of this homeowner, their newly renovated house began leaking less than a month after moving in due to poor waterproofing, with no proper grouting or pipe sealing. The damage forced them to tear down a marble bathroom and rebuild, leaving the home in turmoil. Adding to the frustration was the attitude of the renovation company, as the owner shared.
The project manager has been dragging his feet and not completing the work on time. He also won't answer my calls. I'm speechless.
But perhaps the easiest and most common way for renovation companies to dodge accountability is to pin the blame on something untouchable: bad weather. Even in the milk tea shop case where one employee tragically lost his life, some commenters claimed the store owner tried to blame an earthquake. But as others pointed out, the local earthquake bureau confirmed there was no seismic activity that day. Weak rules make it easier for shoddy work to slip through, but the real cost comes when people choose greed over integrity. This disaster is a vivid reminder: profits taken at the expense of safety only buy future tragedy. If there's any hope of ending China's Final Destination plague, it will require everyone, builders, owners, regulators, to finally place value on conscience, not just money.